Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Open Consultation Hour. My name is Giuglia Giussani, and I'm Digital Innovation Manager at IDSA. And today, I'm very happy to be here with my colleague, Silvia Castellv. She's currently in Spain, and she's a Senior Stakeholder Manager.
Hello, everybody.
So the purpose of today's session is to make you understand better the IDS initiative. And to do that, we would like to answer your questions and solve your doubts. Before we do that, we think it's necessary to provide you with some basic concepts on IDS so that everyone is on the same level. So we will have a first 20 minutes presentation from our side, and then we will give the floor to you to share your questions. So to start, what is the IDS initiative? The IDS initiative stands for International Data Spaces, and it's an international initiative which aims to bring a standard for data sovereignty. And the initiative is led by the IDS Association, which was founded 4 years ago, so in summer 2016. There were these 18 members that decided to kickstart this ambitious goal. And so far, the association has grown a lot. So as you can see from this slide, we are now more than 120 companies belonging to 20 different countries. And summing up all the people that are contributing to our working groups and task forces and projects, there are 350 people currently contributing. The head office is in Dortmund, Germany, but the IDS initiative has grown and has spread throughout Europe and beyond. So we now have different communities or hubs that have been led by some research institutions that we call hub facilitators. And as you can see here, we have VTT in Finland, Czech Technical University in Prague for Czech Republic, Innovalia in Spain, TNO in the Netherlands, CEFRL in Milan, Institut Mines Telecom in France, and CEAT ITI in Greece. And if you belong to one of these countries, do not hesitate to contact them. They're well prepared and they act as first contact for IDSA. So I've mentioned that the goal of IDS is to ensure data sovereignty. But what is actually data sovereignty? With this term, we refer to the ability to exclusively and sovereignly decide over the usage of one's data. So data sovereignty is really important because on one hand side, we want to free data flows so that we can unleash the power of data ecosystems. But on the other hand side, we really want that these data exchange is done in a secure manner and that data owner stays in control and maintains property over this data. And this is indeed what IDSA is aiming to. But how is IDS bringing this into practice? A really important concept is the concept of data spaces. And with this term, we do not refer to something physical, but it's more an approach to data integration. So a data space can be seen as a sum of the different connectors in an ecosystem which link different endpoints. And data spaces are the key in IDS because they act as clean rooms for a secure data exchange, so in a trusted manner, with data governance in place and usage constraints. But Silvia will talk about this in more detail later on. Sorry. I will just briefly structure the core elements of IDS with this slide here. So as I already mentioned, there are different core components, so core elements that make IDS function. And the first one is unlimited interoperability. So with this one, we aim to, with the standard, we aim to ensure data flows between all kinds of data endpoints. And the second one is trust, and that happens between different security domains thanks to a comprehensive security function. So with this structure, we can ensure a maximum level of trust. And the third one is governance. So as I mentioned, we want data to be shared under some policies and usage control. So these are the three main elements of data sharing in IDS. Silvia, if you would like to explain more in depth these concepts, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Giuglia. In these data ecosystems, IDSA form the basis for data sovereignty. IDS is referring the reference architecture is setting the framework conditions. A new version of the reference architecture model will be available at the end of the year. The trust framework and schema for data sharing that really providing trust when sharing data, and the coordination of operational agreements when sharing data, providing these data sovereignty services. These three elements enables that we can provide a new vision of data sharing based on federation of data instead of centralized platforms. This vision is based on data sovereignty. So we can ensure data sovereignty for the owner of the data, and also a proven data provenance for the user of the data. Next slide, Silvia. Okay, 1 second. If we go a little bit deeper about what is international data space, this is an example of what data spaces looks like. Let's think about peer-to-peer network of data sources, where you can use a client with a connector, this blue bubble circle, which are a secure data gateways. Once you have implemented these gateways in your facilities, you are able to share data. And if you are a certified participant on this ecosystem, you are allowed to share secure data and trust data. Next slide. The IDS connector is the central part of the IDS model. The IDS connector is the base to access to the data space as the door to enter the clean room. And of course, you have different users scenario and different requirements for security. So we came up with 4 security profiles depending on your needs. For security, either from quick data sharing to really comprehensive security requirements. All these profiles are already defined. And the architecture is even formulated in a formal standard, the DIN 27070 specification, and it is called Secure Gateway for Sharing Data and Services. And it is more comprehensive described in our reference architecture model. Now we are in a phase of getting this standard at international level through ISO certifications. The specifications for implementation of the connector based on container management technologies is available on GitHub. And also there are several of them available on GitHub. Starting with these documents, you know how to create these doors to enter to the cleaning room for data spaces. And those connectors can be implemented in a lot of different scenarios, from embedded systems over mobile devices or up to client service solutions. This has already been done, and we came up with reference implementations of this. And also we have this IDS ready, that is a formal certification schema. The certification has been done by other participants on IDS ecosystem, and for all the components starting from the connector up to the applications that you are going to use in this ecosystem. We have already companies that make this, for example, SQS from Spain, Fraunhofer, SIG from Germany, Tecnalia from Spain too. And they plan to be such evaluator of facilities and to look deeper on your components and certify it to achieve the ADS ready component or certification. At the end of this year, we will have implemented a new certification process, and the first certified products will be available. Next slide. But the usage control is executed in this connector. And this is the link between the usage control and the IDS connector. But what is the usage control? It gives to you, the usage control gives you the possibility to apply conditions under which your data will be consumed. At the end of the day, what are those conditions? They are making the agreements that enable you to exchange data, your data, in a way you want. So this is why usage control participate really to transform your data sets into economic assets. That is because we say that usage control is an essential part of the reference architecture model. But please, let's go to look a little bit in detail about this usage control. You must probably know what is access control, because it's already existing and it makes easy to manage in organizations or the accessing on the services. But is this just the role management? This is what we are doing currently. We can attach obligations management of the future usage to have a more fine-grained obligations conditions under which your data can be consumed. Adding the two of them in what we do on IDS model, on one side, we have the access control through certification path, and on the other side, we have the usage control on the higher fine-grained sovereignty. With usage control, not only you can attach rules and constraints to your data sets, you can also enforce what is really happening on a technical base. That is really important, and this realized by the IDS connector. But before I finalize, let me explain you concerning the difference between the access and the usage. Let me provide you some example. On the left side, sorry, can you change the next slides, Giuglia? On the left side of this picture, you have basically what you are doing when you are making access control. You are checking who has access to your services, where they are located, or with which devices they are doing this, they are applying these applications, they are using this your application. Briefly or informal check before accessing to your resources. What we are doing is how to redefine the use of data and apply some time constraints. For example, you are accepted that your data can be shared, but for a limited time, for a period. Or, for example, you want only share your data with a specific kind of stakeholders in order to avoid that competitors access to your data. Or you are trading private data, personalized data, so you prefer to make it anonymized before sharing. So you can apply several conditions to your data before sharing your data. And Giuglia will now explain you the different roles in these ecosystems. Giuglia?
Yeah, so before we move to the Q&A part, I would like to first explain you a little bit more which are the roles that can be found in an IDS ecosystem, and then what is the current state. So regarding the roles, we like to use the metaphor of the motorway. So to travel a motorway, you obviously need an infrastructure. And this is the case for IDS as well. So we have some infrastructure providers that deliver services like the identity provider, the clearing and billing certification, and also providers that provide you some technological components like the connector. And on a motorway, we find many vehicles, and these are the participants of the ecosystem. So we have data owners and data users which jump into the ecosystem for two different reasons. So obviously, the former would like to maintain property of the data, as Silvia has explained regarding the different needs that one could have. And the other one would like to prove that he had control over the data that has been used. In addition to that, you might understand that when traveling, you need some specific services. So you might need to stop at a gas station to refuel, or you might need some food. And in this case, we have some additional services like the broker service, the app store, and some providers that can provide you with vocabulary. And on top of this, last but not least, we have the International Data Spaces Association that acts more or less like a municipality. So it is something that sets the rules, ensures trust, and basically oversees over the whole process. And seeing these roles from a different perspective, I really like this slide because you can also see the interactions between the participants. You can identify the data owner and data user through the pink dots, and you can see the services in the boxes. So through the lines, different kinds of lines, you can also see the different interactions. And for example, you have the metadata through the dotted line and transfer of data through the normal line. And very quickly, just to give you an impression, we have different companies that are either working on these services or developing use cases for the data provider side or data usage. And maybe I will just quickly mention on the top right part, the ones that are working on certification. So we have different companies that are now finalizing together with us the certification process. And for example, Fraunhofer, SQS, or PwC will become our evaluation facilities, and will be able, hopefully by the end of this month, this will already be possible to certify your connectors or your operational environment and let you be part of a fully working IDS ecosystem. So I think that's enough for now. I'll just briefly explain what is the current situation. So we have two main areas of activity at IDSA. The first one is the evolution of the IDS offering, and the other one is the adoption and proliferation. And regarding the first one, we now have a third version of our reference architecture model, but we are currently developing our fourth version. Together with it, we are also refining and improving what's already there. And we do that thanks to the help of our developers community and working groups. As you can see in the pink boxes, the developers community are working on the actual implementation and interoperability. The working group certification is working on the certification criteria, and we are also in the process of defining the legal aspects of data sharing, together with some lawyers and some experts in this field. And we are finalizing the operational processes like maintenance processes, version management, and incident management, for example. On the other side, we are really active to disseminate about IDS and support our members to create fully working market-ready solutions. To do that, we have many activities going on apart from the hubs. We also have some specific communities that deal with specific domains. For example, the IDSA, which is the IDS community focused on industry, is really active. It was started some months ago, and if you would like to know more, there are information on our homepage. We are also really into keeping contact and fostering synergies with other initiatives related to data sharing, and we have test beds and competence centers to support IDS. But one initiative which is really interesting and that was started almost 6 months ago is the one depicted in yellow, and that's the so-called IDS Launching Coalition. In this initiative, a selected number of members of IDS is actively working to finally make IDS market ready. So we have different use cases that you can see here in different domains, and the aim of these companies is really to create market ready solution, but also to agree on some final sets of agreements that will finally make IDS operating. And this is related to the rulebook that I mentioned before. So all these companies are participating to specific meetings and workshops to define the legal aspects, operational aspects, and very specific technical aspects that need to be clarified to finally have solutions ready. Yeah, I think we have explained the basic concepts, and we are curious about your questions and doubts. So if you raise your hands, we can unmute you, or you can use the question box and type in your questions there.
We have one question from Ignacy Oliver. What kind of role vocabulary provide has, and who can become vocabulary? Hideki, sorry. And who can become vocabulary provider? Company or non-profit organization? Giuglia, you can.
Thank you for your question. So this is kind of technical, and unfortunately, I'm not too much into the technical detail. But as far as we have, Silvia.
We have different working groups, so that are working on the vocabulary. But we work also. You can see. The vocabulary on the reference architecture model, how this information model has been defined, but which kind of vocabulary we define. It is the vocabulary necessary for data exchange and to agree to make interoperability between different data sources. It is not domain-specific vocabulary because it has developed on the use cases for each domain proposed. So regarding this vocabulary, we have working groups, and if you are a member of IDSA, you can participate on this working group to provide this vocabulary. But it's not necessary. It could be a company or non-profit company who participate and support to develop this vocabulary. I think that I answered your question. If you want, you can make the questions through question and answer, writing it, or you can unmute yourself, or we can unmute you, and then you can ask directly.
Yeah, thank you, Silvia. Are there other questions?
Yeah, I see Ignacy wants to, yeah, because now I see, yeah, Ignacy, you can unmute yourself, I think. Ignacy, can you unmute your?
I think.
Okay, now?
Oh, yeah. Again, Ignacy, sorry.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Great. So thank you very much for your response. Domain centered, as you said. So the best in our case would be to take part into these working groups and see how we can define in our set of domain, right?
Yes, the vocabulary for interoperative models for data sharing. This is a general development. It is cross-sectorial, so it is developed on the working groups. But the vocabularies for data models are for sector specific. It is developed in research projects by companies on the use cases, not at the IDS association level on the working groups. Okay.
Okay. So it is not fully public to new corporations or new nonprofits. These developments.
We can check which vocabularies, what is available, because there are some content, there are a lot of contents that is public and other that not. So if you are interested, we can talk with the responsible of the working group to see which part of this vocabulary is public and which not, and we can share with you. Okay.
Great, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignacy. Giuseppe, you have raised your hand. Do you want to make a question? You can unmute yourself. Okay.
Hear me? Okay.
Yes.
We're developing a service for the Gaia X project. Then we have seen that we work in the healthcare domain. Looking at your website, you have seen that there is a Smith project that comprises several German hospitals to interchange data. And in that project, there is a marketplace system. I have seen also that in your slides were a marketplace system. That marketplace tool is part of IDS or has to be provided by the service provider?
Okay, yes, as you have seen on the presentation, that what we provide from IDSA is to support to develop this reference architecture model and the components. So the marketplaces are provided by the IT companies, research centers, the different stakeholders, the members. So you can, if there are a marketplace developed, for example, for this medical data space, you can use this marketplace, but then you need to agree with the entity that is managing the marketplace, or you can develop your own marketplace for your ecosystem. I am answering your question, Giuseppe, or do you
Yes.
need more?
No, it's okay. And in the second case that we develop our marketplace,
Yes.
What would be the certification process?
Yes. We have maybe Giuglia, you want answer?
Yeah, maybe I can explain the current status. So for now, certification is being finalized, which means that we are completing the process of approving the evaluators. After that, we will have some evaluation facilities approved, which will let you certify both your components and your operational environment. So operational environment, it means that you need to be certified as a company so that your identity is sure. And the process will be to apply to one of these evaluation facilities, and then they will guide you through the whole process. There are some certification criteria that must be fulfilled, so some requirements that you need to be compliant to become part of IDS, let's say. And these are already available. I think not much needs to be added there. So this is more or less the basic idea behind.
Okay, and the certification companies, as far as I haven't seen, are, for example, Fraunhofer or PwC?
Yeah, so Fraunhofer, SQS, PwC will be are the more likely. We have a couple of others, but we're still in the process of discussing with them.
Okay, SQS, I think, is in Spain.
Yeah.
Can you provide us the contact?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then in the case this solution is part of Gaia X, do you know what will be the relationship? In other words, it will run on Gaia X. So I guess some parts of the certification will already be provided by the Gaia X clouds. Do you know something about it?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you very well. So what's your question? Related to Gaia X, something with certification?
Yes. So we will not want to set up just an IDS solution, but IDS as part of Gaia X.
So
then,
yeah.
I understand that we will require a certification from the Gaia, international data spaces, but some parts of the solution, for example, the cloud, will be already certified by cloud providers, part of Gaia X. Do you know if this is the way, or?
I don't know much details about certification in Gaia X, but what I'm sure about is that IDS is part of Gaia X, so is not only a founding member, but the IDS technology is a core component of Gaia X, and all the infrastructure related to certification and so on will be also part and compliant to Gaia X.
Okay.
Regarding strictly the cloud part, unfortunately, I cannot answer you.
Okay, no problem. I will go to Gaia X.
By the way, you are already in contact, so or do you need some specific contacts for that?
No, we're in contact with Gaia X, no problem.
Good.
Okay. We have another question regarding the certification process from Heideki. And the question is, what kind of processes to get certification for IDS connector? And is there test tool? If yes, how to get the test tool?
Yeah, so maybe I can start answering to this, and Silvia, you can in case. So regarding certification, as I mentioned, for the connectors, you will have to go to an approved IDS evaluation facility. So obviously, it's not possible to self-test the components. Otherwise, all the trust element of IDS would fall. But contacting one of these evaluation facilities, you'll be able to go through some kind of audit, and you will know if your component is fine or not, and you have the chance to fill out and respect the requirements. And how to get the test tool? I think the first step is to get in contact with the evaluation facilities as soon as the certification process is in place. And then they will provide you with the right steps and with a plan for it. We are still available every time, also during these first contact with the evaluation facilities, to step in and oversee the process. So we will also be available for that.
Okay, we have, it's clear, Hideki, or do you want to ask something else? We have
maybe the connector. It is already possible to do some kind of pre-certification, and that's so-called IDS ready statement. And to do that, you can contact Fraunhofer, and they will kind of test the basic core elements of the component to see if you're going into the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Also, we have, when you are developing, if you want to develop a component, then you can participate to the integration campaigns, the integration camp, to test your component with other components. So it's a test lab that we facilitate for members. Giuglia, do you know when the IDS reference architecture version 4.0 will be available, will be published?
I cannot say a specific point in time. So we know that certification will be in place by the end of this month, and by the end of November, we will have all the final settlements and agreements in place. So I think the new reference architecture will not come before November, because all these inputs and also the latest decisions of the working groups will be included there.
Okay, thank you. And we have another question from Castellv. What does domain-specific group discuss? I know IDSA, but what others, such as agriculture? Do they have data specific requirements of agricultural data exchange? Let me explain you. Regarding the IDS communities, we have some communities that are running under IDSA as IDS association, such as IDSA, you comment, but we have others that are the other communities on ecosystem, but on research projects, because part of the development are being developed by X2020 projects from European Commission, and these consortiums that are running, developing data platforms, they have these agriculture communities and developing requirements for data exchange. And in the specific case of agriculture, Fraunhofer is working on this field. So we can put in contact with them, but not direct working groups under IDSA for agriculture. We don't have this group at this moment.
Thank you, Silvia. Maybe I'll just add something related to the community focus on mobility, because we are planning to get it started. So keep an eye on our website, because there will be news in the coming weeks. Okay, are there other questions?
I don't think so, Giuglia.
Let's see, we still have 10-15 minutes. So Okay, I see no more questions in the box and no raised hands. So I think that if there are no more questions, we can close in advance. We hope that you are also believe that data sharing is better than playing alone, and we will be happy to stay in contact. And if you would like to get involved, do not hesitate to contact us. We can discuss a little bit more which role and how IDS can benefit you, and also how you can bring value to the IDS initiative. We will have some more live sessions in the coming weeks. I will sign you the tech talk that will take place on September 22nd. That will be specifically on certification, so don't miss that one. And we will also have 2 other views on IDS, which are organized by 2 research projects. The first one is the Trust project, and the other one is the Musketeer project. And they are done in cooperation with the OpenDI project. So very interesting, both of them. So thank you very much for joining us today. We would be very happy to keep in touch, and have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye.